Imagine that the next thing preventing your next level isn't your market, it's not your competition, it's not your team, it's not even your strategy. Imagine it's a conversation you're not having. Many CEOs don't hit a ceiling because they lack effort. They hit a ceiling because their thinking has stopped expanding. See, I was speaking with a CEO recently who told me,
I feel like I've been working harder than ever, yet something feels stuck.
revenue was growing, the team was solid, the company was healthy, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd reached a plateau. And the interesting part, problem wasn't visible, at least not at first, because what was limiting him wasn't effort, it was perspective. You see, one of the biggest myths in leadership is that growing stops because effort stops. In my experience, that's rarely the case. Most CEOs I work with are already working very hard, and I'm sure you are too. That's already that they're committed, they're already capable, and yet many eventually encounter something they didn't expect. A hidden ceiling, not a market ceiling, not a financial ceiling, an identity ceiling. And so, what is an identity ceiling? Well, it's a ceiling that occurs when the version of you that created today's success becomes the very limiting tomorrow's growth. Think about that. The habits, beliefs, assumptions, leadership styles, decision-making process, they got you here, and congratulations for that. Yet, they may not be capable of taking you to the next level. And that's difficult to see from inside your own perspective. And why this happens, you ask? Well, most leaders spend years improving skills. Far fewer spend time examining assumptions. And assumptions are powerful because once an assumption becomes familiar, it stops being questions. It simply becomes reality until someone challenges it or life and market condition does. Here's what I've noticed. Many leaders are willing to discuss strategy, execution, operation, performance, yet they avoid a different conversation. The conversation about themselves. Not because they're unwilling, because it's uncomfortable, especially in front of your peers. Questions like, what if my current thinking is outdated? Or what assumption am I making? What belief is limiting my growth? Or what am I defending that no longer serves me? Those are different questions, and they often lead to different breakthroughs, yet uncomfortable to have inside the company. Well, the Chief Excavation Officer. That's where our second CEO comes in. The next level rarely begins with adding something. It often begins by uncovering something, an assumption, a blind spot, a pattern, a story you've been carrying for years. You see, the Chief Excavation Officer understands that what remains hidden often becomes limiting, which is why excavation comes before expansion. Here's one of the costs of staying comfortable though. It's one of the most expensive habits leaders develop: certainty. Not confidence, certainty. That belief that I already know, or the moment stops questioning themselves. Growth slows down, which leads us to the one conversation. So what is the conversation that changes everything? It's not a script. It's not a framework. It's not a productivity tool. It's the conversation that challenges the assumptions you've stopped questioning. Conversation that exposes the blind spot. It's a conversation that expands awareness. A conversation that reveals you may not be stuck. You may simply be operating from a smaller perspective than you are capable of. So, Chief Expansion Officer. This is where this one actually emerges. The goal isn't becoming someone else. The goal is expanding into who you're capable of becoming. That's a completely different conversation, because expansion isn't about adding more work. It's about expanding awareness, expanding possibilities, perspective. And when perspective expands, options expand, decisions improve, leadership evolves, results follow, which now brings us to the real leadership shift. Strongest CEOs I've worked with all have one thing in common. They remain curious. Not because they lack confidence, because they understand something important. The moment you believe you've arrived, growth begins to slow. Curiosity, on the other hand, keeps leaders evolving. Curiosity keeps assumptions visible. Curiosity keeps perspective expanding. And that is where growth lives. So here's the challenge. Most CEOs cannot see their own ceiling, because if they could see it, it wouldn't be a ceiling. It would simply be a problem to solve. Which means the question isn't, do I have blind spots? The question should be, which blind spot is currently limiting my next level? That's a very different conversation. So here's your integration assignment. This week, ask yourself, what conversation am I avoiding because I already think I know the answer? Don't rush past this one. Sit with it, because your next breakthrough may not require more effort. It may require a different perspective. Many leaders spend years trying to work their way to the next level. Yet often, the next level isn't hidden inside more effort. It's hidden inside a conversation that challenges assumptions, expands awareness, and reveals possibilities you couldn't see before. A conversation with me. That's why great CEOs come to me to sharpen their thinking in private so they can execute precision in public. I promise progress. And if this made you wonder whether you're operating from a ceiling you can't currently see, you know where to find me. Let's talk and clear the air. You know it's time. The link is in the description below. It's as simple as that. Looking forward to meeting with you soon. Have a great day.